Welcome to Fearless with Jason Whitlock. I am Jason Whitlock, your host. Happy Monday. Thank you for joining me. We have a fantastic Monday show planned for you. We'll start with the NFL truths. I got 10 things about the NFL I want to get off my chest. At some point, Steve Kim will join me. Paul Burkhardt, remember Paul from last week? He'll join us from the PB Sports Podcast. We'll talk with Paul about Dillon Gabriel, who I was not that impressed with. But anyway, action-packed show, a lot going on in the National Football League. We'll cover the Mark Sanchez debacle. Steve Kim and I will talk about that. Man, we just got a lot to unpack. I don't want to make you wait much longer, so let me tell you that if you're listening over Apple, first thing you need to do is hit that 5-star rating. Boom. Do that. We deserve it. It helps us fight the algorithm. It helps us grow the channel. If you're listening over Apple, hit that 5-star rating. And if you want, write a review. That would be even better. I want to also thank our friends at Relief Factor for making today's show possible. Crushed my workout this morning. Absolutely destroyed it. Did 2,000 steps in like 35 minutes, which is pretty good. It's not my record pace, but that was pretty good. I normally, when I'm really rolling, I can get to 26, 27, but the reason I crushed it, and I crushed it yesterday, is because of Relief Factor. It is relieving the aches and pains, the inflammation that compromises my mobility and perhaps your mobility. And so if you're looking for a 100% drug-free daily supplement that fights inflammation, look no further than Relief Factor. It's helped me. As I've told you, it's helped my buddy Jeffrey Steele, the country music singer, songwriter, legend that's 64 years old now and still biking 30 miles every morning. He's out there right now. He's out there right now doing 30 miles on his bike at 64, and it's a little sprinkly and wet here, but he's out there doing it because of Relief Factor. Jeffrey and I have both experienced the benefits of Relief Factor. You can too. They have a 3-week quick start that's just $20, $19.95, $20. And you can find out if Relief Factor is the right thing for you, if it can relieve your inflammation and pain. 70% of the people that tried the 3-week quick start circle back and re-up because they're already experiencing the benefits of Relief Factor. Don't sit there and say, I can't do this, I can't do that. Man, I wish I was young again. Try Relief Factor. Drop a Twinkie, $20. We used to call $20 a Twinkie in my day. Imagine me calling money a Twinkie. Anyway, do that and find out if Relief Factor is right for you. You'll find out very soon. It won't take long to find out if Relief Factor is the right cure for your inflammation, or I'm sorry, the right supplement to ease your inflammation. There's 2 ways to get it. 1-800-4-RELIEF. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF. Or visit relieffactor.com. All right, let's get to the truth.
You can't handle the truth.
I hope you can. Let's start with number 10. Imari DeMarcado or something like that. Some third-string running back for the Arizona Cardinals cost the Arizona Cardinals the game because he's an idiot. He celebrated before he got to the end zone, dropped the football, would have put the Cardinals up like 28 would have put the game out of reach in the fourth quarter. Drops the football. Same thing that idiot last week did for the Indianapolis Colts. He cost the Arizona Cardinals the game. Let me tell you what's going on. Everybody is thinking about their TD celebration. I lived long enough to remember when only a handful of guys had some explicit, coordinated, organized TD celebration. Billy White Shoes Johnson, there was the Icky Shuffle. A lot of guys, Walter Payton, Barry Sanders, used to just toss the ball back to the referee. They acted like they had been there before. Now everybody thinks about, hey, what celebration am I going to do when I get a big tackle, when I score a touchdown, when I get a sack, when I get an interception? They're thinking about the celebration rather than doing their jobs. And so Imari here cost the Arizona Cardinals the game because he couldn't wait to celebrate and look cool crossing the end zone. These guys got to cut it out. Speaking of Adonai Mitchell, the guy that cost the Colts the game last week with his premature end zone celebration, speaking of him, if he doesn't blow that Rams game, I moved on to truth number 9. If he doesn't blow that Rams game, the Indianapolis Colts are undefeated right now, and they're considered the best team in football. The Colts blow out bad teams like they did yesterday, Vegas 40-6. They blew out the Dolphins, they blew out the Titans, and they beat the good teams. They beat the Broncos, and they outplayed the Rams. Which leads to the question that I'll get into with Steve Kim. Who is the best football team in the National Football League right now? Is it Detroit? Is it Indianapolis? Is it the Bills? Is it the Bucks? I like Indianapolis a lot, but I'm probably going to side with the Bills. All right, let's move to NFL truth number 8. Let's never forget how absurd the NFL Rooney Rule is. The San Francisco 49ers and the Detroit Lions both received third-round compensatory picks, 2 of them, for developing and foisting Mike McDaniel on the Dolphins and Aaron Glenn on the Jets. Have you followed Aaron Glenn and Mike McDaniel this year? Between the 2 of them, they have 1 victory, and that was when the Dolphins, I believe, beat the Jets. Other than that, they put up a bagel both teams. The Rooney Rule is absolutely absurd. It rewards the people that develop black head coaches and general managers. And yes, Mike McDaniel's daddy is black, and so the 49ers got 2 third-round picks for foisting him off on the Miami Dolphins. Never forget. All right, let's move to NFL truth number 7. Let's listen to this list of defensive coordinators for the Baltimore Ravens. And we're going to start in 1996. That's when the Lewis brothers, Marvin Lewis, the defensive coordinator, and Ray Lewis, the all-time great middle linebacker, that's when they landed in Baltimore, 1996. Listen to this string of defensive coordinators. It's a who's who of defensive masterminds. Marvin Lewis, Mike Nolan, Rex Ryan, Greg Madison, Chuck Pagano, Dean Pease, Wink Martindale, Mike McDonald. And now they have a guy named Zach Orr, who, quiet as it kept, looks like a DEI hire. Listen to this. The Baltimore Ravens, in 4 of 5 games this year, have given up 37 or more points. In 4 of 5 games. I had my guy Hadley do the research on this. Since 1996, since the Lewis brothers discovered the Baltimore Ravens, 27 times in that 29-year span have the Baltimore Ravens given up 37 or more points. This is a franchise that has been defined by defense for nearly 3 decades. Marvin Lewis, Ray Lewis show up. The Baltimore Ravens' entire franchise is built on great defense. This has been going on for nearly 3 decades. Now they are a poop show. And Lamar Jackson, you should sit out the rest of the season. It's pointless to come back. And I know he's only injured for 2 or 3 weeks, but the Baltimore Ravens aren't winning anything with this defense. The Ray Lewis defensive era for the Baltimore Ravens has come to an end. Thank you, Zach Orr. All right, let's move to NFL truth number 6. My Kansas City Chiefs haven't gone anywhere. Guess who, after tonight's game, will likely sit atop the AFC West? The Kansas City Chiefs. They'll be 3-2 after they knock off the Jacksonville Jaguars down in Jacksonville tonight. The Broncos and the Chargers, they're both 3-2. The Chargers are looking kind of sus right now. Broncos, hats off to them. They knocked off the Philadelphia Eagles. But the Kansas City Chiefs are still the best team in the AFC West. No one should be surprised. They're not even fully healthy. They don't have their full complement of players yet. They're going to be the best team in the AFC West. Their demise has been greatly exaggerated. Let's move to NFL Truth number 5. I wasn't, and I'm not that impressed with Dillon Gabriel. He looked overmatched to me against the Vikings. I know he threw 2 touchdowns, and his stats say he played a solid game, and everybody went out of their way. Hey, Dillon Gabriel played a solid game. He looked good. No, he didn't. He looked short. And I don't like short quarterbacks. I'm never going to like short quarterbacks. Look, personally, I like Chase Daniel. Played at Mizzou, good kid, does a good broadcaster. But that's who this Dillon Gabriel reminds me of. Chase Daniel, career backup in the National Football League. Short quarterbacks, I will always be suspect. Fran Tarkenton played in 3 or 4 Super Bowls. I'm suspicious of. Doug Flutie won the Heisman Trophy. I never got on board. I don't like short. Did you see the picture? Can we put the picture up of Dillon Gabriel standing next to Carson Wentz after the game? You're just not going to win. Could we put that up? You're just not going to win very many games when your quarterback looks like this, a child. He's not tall enough to ride the rides at Kings Island. And you think he's going to lead you to a Super Bowl? Has there been? Russell Wilson won a short quarterback. He won a Super Bowl as a short quarterback. Who are the short quarterbacks that have won Super Bowls? It doesn't happen. Your quarterback can't look like that. Like, hey, high school kid, congratulations. Can't do it. I'll never get on board. All right, let's move to NFL Truth number 4. And this one's been obvious from the get-go. Geno Smith was always going to return to his factory settings. Anyone surprised by this hasn't been paying attention. Smith tossed 2 more interceptions yesterday. I think he's got 9 for the season. He's thrown 6 touchdown passes. Vegas got beat 40-6. Giving Geno Smith a 2-year, $75 million contract in Las Vegas? Got to be one of the dumbest decisions in the history of football. Geno plays well when his back is against the wall, not when he has a pocket full of cash and strip clubs within walking distance of the stadium. It's a bad recipe. Geno Smith to Vegas with Pete Carroll, disaster. All right, let's move to NFL Truth number 3. Jackson Dart, let me give you some advice, young man. Quit running around trying to be the white Shedeur Sanders. Take that ridiculous platinum chain off from around your neck. It prevents me from liking you, respecting you, thinking you can do anything. You look like hot garbage yesterday against the Saints, running around with that big platinum chain around your neck like you're Shedeur Sanders. You're not Shedeur Sanders. You should be, if you want to be somebody black, Jackson, choose Russell Wilson. Do that. Be that. Because if you keep running around trying to be Shedeur and wearing the big gold chain like you're some rapper, you're going to reinvigorate Russell Wilson's career. We may not be done with Russell Wilson. All right, let's move to NFL Truth number 2. I got some advice for Jerry Jones and Cowboys fans. Trade for Trey Hendrickson. This makes so much sense. Did you see Trey Hendrickson yesterday? The Bengals are bad, but Trey had 2 sacks. He's still a problem. He's got 4 sacks on the season. Guess which team has a quarterback that everybody's falling in love with and saying, hey, this guy could be the MVP, and Dallas's offense is terrific. But guess which team has that quarterback but has no defense and lost its pass rusher in Micah Parsons? Trey Hendrickson. You got some capital from the Green Bay Packers. Use those assets to acquire Trey Hendrickson. Why would the Bengals want to continue to pay this guy $30 million for this season when the Bengals are going to be hot garbage? Did you see Jake Browning? Jake Browning is hot garbage. I mean, whoa, boy. I mean, he looked like Jackson Dart and some other, who's the other tiny quarterback? Dillon Gabriel, the other tiny quarterback that I don't like. Now, Jackson Dart's got the size, but he's not, I'm sorry. Jake Browning has the size, but he's just not ready. The Bengals are going nowhere this year. Mike Brown would love to offload. He's cheap. Mike Brown, the owner of the Bengals, is cheap. He'd love to offload Trey Hendrickson now that they're not winning anything in Cincinnati this year. And Jerry Jones could add an asset to his defense, replace the pass rush that he lost with Micah Parsons. Who says no? Trey Hendrickson to the Cowboys. Justin Kraut. Am I right? Am I right? Trey Hendrickson would be a great asset to the Dallas Cowboys. All right, let's get to my final truth. This pains me to do, but I got to give Baker Mayfield some credit. Truth number one is Baker Mayfield is the MVP right now. I don't know if he can sustain it, but I'm not going to deny Baker Mayfield. After 5 games, he is the MVP. He's got 10 touchdown passes, just 2 interceptions. Every single weekend, he leads the Buccaneers on a comeback, a game-winning drive. Hats off to Baker Mayfield. What a journey. And I want to make sure that the Shedeur Sanders groupies hear me on this. Baker Mayfield, when he entered the National Football League, everybody roasted him. Colin Cowherd roasted him for wearing his hat backwards, for being too cocky, for all the antics on the field. People went at Baker Mayfield. And you know what they never said? That's racist. No one said that. Baker Mayfield got lit up. He's now on his 4th team, and he's figured it out. You got to let people go through the criticism, the ups and downs of the National Football League without pretending like the whole world is out to get him. The Cleveland Browns, they wanted Baker to fail. The Carolina Panthers, they wanted Baker to fail. The Los Angeles Rams, they wanted Baker to fail. You heard none of that because none of it was true. Baker Mayfield got a big pair. He's as gutsy as anybody, and he's as resilient as anybody I've ever seen. He's a borderline short quarterback that I have to give credit to. He's the MVP right now. He's on his 4th team. You know, there's only been one other player that I can think of that, according to my research, Hadley, you back me up. There's only been one player that's ever won the MVP on his 4th team. It was Rich Gannon. Rich Gannon, I believe, started out with the Minnesota Vikings, had a brief cup of coffee with the Washington Redskins, spent some time in Kansas City when I was there, and then went to the Raiders on his 4th team, and at age 37, won the MVP of the National Football League. Baker Mayfield's only 30. He's got a chance to be the 2nd person on his 4th team to win an MVP. Am I right? Is there some running back? I'm not there. I doubt it. I know I'm right. Anyway, those are your NFL truths for, what is today? Monday, October 6th. Those are your NFL truths. How you like them apples? Let me tell you guys, before we get to Steve Kim, he's just around the corner. Let me tell you what you can do to spice up your sex life, to make your wife happy, to be a champion in the bedroom. Blue Chew. It's the original brand offering chewable tablets for better sex. These erection-enhancing tablets help men achieve stronger, harder, longer-lasting erections for sexual activities. It's not just about getting hard, it's about staying hard. Blue Chew is built for both. Guys, be ready when she needs it and get your first month of Blue Chew for free. Great sex is just a few clicks away. Sign up at BlueChew.com, consult with one of their licensed medical providers, and once you're approved, you'll receive your prescription within days. Blue Chew tablets are made in the United States and prepared and shipped directly to your door. The best part, it's all done online. That means no visits to the doctor's office, no awkward conversations, and no waiting in line at the pharmacy. Hey man, you want to enhance your third legacy? Get you some Blue Chew. When you lay it down with Blue Chew, you're not just making memories, you're shifting paradigms. Elevate your bedroom game and become a case study in evolution. Discover your options at BlueChew.com, and we've got a special deal. Let me remind you, as always, your first month of Blue Chew is free. Just use the promo code FEARLESS at checkout and pay $5 for shipping. That's it. Join Blue Chew's global mission to make better sex the dominant drive of modern society. Head to BlueChew.com for details and safety info. Huge thanks to Blue Chew for sponsoring today's episode and this revolution. Steve Kim, and as the NFL turns, X. Does winning the WNBA title, does it really say anything? Does it say you're great? And I just started having flashbacks. It's like, I watched last year's WNBA Finals playoff series, Lynx and Liberty. And it was hot garbage. I remember Game 7. Sabrina Ionescu could not make a shot. And then the refs came in and stole it for the Liberty at the end. It's like, man, this is some hot garbage I just watched. No one proved anything. And they're going to throw a parade for the Liberty for winning this? And I was watching it again last night, and I was like, someone's going to be celebrated for this hot garbage? Go to bed, Whitlock. This is insanity. And so I went to bed. And curtains for the WNBA.
As the NFL turns, starring quarterbacks Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, with special appearances from Commissioner Roger Goodell and coaches Andy Reid, Mike Tomlin, and the Harbaughs. Brought to you by the global elites.
All right, welcome back, Steve Kim. Let's start with a softball for you, because I think you were early on the Baker Mayfield bandwagon. Is 5 weeks in, Baker Mayfield appears to be the front runner in the MVP race. I've got Baker, Matt Stafford, Goff, Dak, Josh Allen, and Daniel Jones, all in contention. What say you? Did Baker, is he the leader at the quarter pole or whatever we're at? The third pole, quarter pole, I don't know where we're at. But anyway, 5 games in, hats off to Baker Mayfield. You say what?
I think finally, I've been waiting for you. Welcome aboard. Take a seat on the bandwagon. And you know what? He could be considered a short quarterback too. Jace, what are you, Randy Newman? What is it with you and short people? My goodness. The guy's not Billy Barty or Vern Troyer. I mean, but Baker Mayfield, what did I say 2-3 years ago when his contract was coming up? He has found a home in Tampa. He's been a little bit nomadic. I don't want to say that his career up until then had been a bust, but as a number 1 pick, when you're on your 3rd team before your, 7th year, that's not a good arc. And what's that old saying? Don't go where you're needed, go where you're wanted. Well, in Tampa Bay, he's wanted and needed, and week in, week out. And I don't know if this is a good thing or if it's sustainable. The Buccaneers are the most exciting, drama-filled team in the National Football League. Baker Mayfield with Igbuka, the young rookie, they have some mojo going together. I like this team. I think they win the NFC South. And yes, as of right now, 3 letters, MVP.
So let me read a couple of tweets that caught my attention. Dak Prescott at 2-2-1. Booger McFarland tweeted out, "It's early, but Dak is the MVP right now, and it's not really close." And this was, I think, during the 1 o'clock window of games, and I was like, "Hey, man, did I miss Josh Allen retiring?" This is before Josh Allen got beat. And then Marcus Spears, he's calling Dak the MVP as well. I mean, Dak's playing well, but I don't understand how he jumped to the head of the line in the MVP race. And I know his numbers are good. He's 10 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, passer rating of 101. Put up Baker Mayfield's stats. Scroll back to that. Let's see it. Baker is 10 TDs, 1 interception, 4-1 record, and a passer rating of 104.4. I get Dak's in the race, but it seems like Dallas is going to have to win a bunch more games before I put him really in the race.
So now winning doesn't matter. So all of a sudden now I mean, honestly, again, this could change. I mean, Tampa Bay could lose their next 9 games, and we'll change our minds. But it's amazing how suddenly it doesn't, like, if their numbers were equal, right, and if the Buccaneers were 3-2 or 2-3, I don't think you and I would be saying that, hey, Baker Mayfield. We'd be saying, wow, he's really turned into a frontline quarterback. I admire Dak, though. I've always thought he's gotten a little bit too much heat. I do. And that doesn't mean he's not overpaid. I know we've had that discussion. But he's been a stabilizing force for that organization. He's been really good. He's won his share of games. We know that he's been a little bit Romo-ish in the playoffs. But still, I think a lot of teams would trade their quarterbacks for Dak and what he brings to the table. But you know what's funny, though? You notice how nobody will give Jerry Jones credit for saying, hey, Dak, you're my guy, and we're going to let the other guy leave. It's funny how that works. But that's what I love about Baker Mayfield. And I know in the past his personality has turned people off. They haven't liked his comportment. But when I watch the Buccaneers, every single guy on that roster believes as long as we got that guy on our team, we have a shot. And even when they had that late deficit, I felt by myself, the Buccaneers get the ball back. They're not out of it. And lo and behold, look what happened. As of right now, I'm going to repeat it. Right now, as we speak in the early week of October, Baker Mayfield would be my MVP. And Jason, I don't think we're giving Indiana Jones enough credit. Daniel Jones is playing ball. He is playing really well. And if you would have told me 7 weeks ago, Steve, you're going to see a quarterback that's in command, that is decisive, and he's making all the right plays for the most part, and this team is scoring a lot of points almost every week, I would have said, yeah, but it's not Daniel Jones, right? You know what? It is.
So I hate to ask this question.
But you will.
Because I'm going to, yeah. I really like Booger McFarland, and I mean that sincerely. And there's no indication that he belongs to the Ryan Clark School of Broadcasting. And for the most part, I find Marcus Spears enjoyable. He let Stephen A. Smith dragged him into that Duke volleyball situation a few years ago with the Rachel Richardson or whatever her name was and the BYU deal. But I just got to add, Booger and I don't believe it about Booger, but I just got to ask a question. Booger and Marcus Spears, we're in an environment like, do they have to say Dak because they can't point to this handful of white quarterbacks that are from Baker to Stafford to Goff to Josh Allen to Daniel Jones? Should I read anything into it that they found the one black quarterback that's on that level and said, yeah, there's the MVP?
Well, remember, Lamar's injured now. So you always got to have a backup. Yeah, backup quarterbacks are important, right? Don't they always say backup quarterbacks are the second most important guy on a roster? Maybe he's literally the personification, the second best black quarterback per year in terms of our talking point and staying in the good graces of social media. That's the second most important quarterback in the league. Look, I'm with you about those two individuals. I never got the sense that they were on the Emmanuel Acho route. Ryan Clark, who's that other guy? Dominic Foxworth. I never thought they were of that ilk. But look, Dak is having a very good year. But looking at everything in totality, I would say right now that Baker Mayfield be number one. But did it cross my mind that there was a reason why they said what they said? To be bluntly honest, as I can only be, yeah. That's simple. Yeah.
It's unfortunate that the conversation, Ryan Clark, Stephen A., that these guys, Dominic Foxworth, the guys you rattled off, have dirtied up the conversation that it even has to cross your mind. It's like I expected from Ryan Clark, because if Dak continues this up, Dak is going to move into authentic blackness or unapologetic blackness by the end of the season, according to Ryan Clark. But yeah, it did cross my mind. I apologize to Booger for even asking the question, but I had to ask the question. I'm going to keep it moving, Steve. Stay with the Cowboys. What do you think of my idea that the Cowboys, if they really believe in this offense, they should try to acquire Trey Hendrickson? The Bengals, I'm sure Mike Brown would love to unload the rest of that $30 million he owes Trey Hendrickson. The Bengals aren't going to win anything. Joe Burrow won't be back until December, and Jake Browning is trash. What do you think of my idea of Trey Hendrickson to the Cowboys?
I actually think that trade makes more sense for the Bengals. It really does. And I know it's kind of like a reverse situation. Remember the falling of Saigon, Escape from Saigon, when all those poor people were hanging onto our helicopters trying to get the hell out of there? I think the Bengals are probably like that. They're like, let's get the hell out of here. So every tradable asset that's not the two receivers and Joe Burrow. And by the way, if I'm the Bengals, Jason, I tell Burrow, you're out for the year. We're done. There's no need for it. What we're gonna do is look ahead to next year, big picture, and we have to get as many assets as possible, namely offensive line, and work on a little bit more of a run game to take pressure off Air Burrow. And one of the ways you do it, you get one of your most bankable commodities and try to get some draft choices, because you have to start protecting Joe Burrow. And I don't mean just saying sign two receivers and play chuck and duck every single game. So, yeah, the Bengals are going nowhere, Jason. They have to come to the realization. If they're counting down the days to Joe Burrow, here's the reality. They might be a 2 or 3 win team after Thanksgiving. Why would you even bring Burrow back at that point?
You certainly don't bring Burrow back, but I'm a little bit – the other half of your statement is, hey, it makes sense for the Bengals, more sense for the Bengals than the Cowboys. Are you someone that says, hey, the Cowboys – shouldn't try to shore up their defense in an attempt to win a Super Bowl this year, that's kind of futile?
No. I think it makes sense for both. I really do. These are two people that need each other. Hey, you have something valuable? You want to get rid of it? Good. We happen to need that thing. These are perfect trade partners. I look at the Cowboys. You know what? No one's giving Schottenheimer any credit. Brian's doing a hell of a job, because you look, Micah Parsons, say what you want. As flawed as his game might be in certain areas, most people would still say he's a top 5 defender. Okay? The Packers gave up pretty good amount for him. So that says something on the open market, that's what he's worth. The Brian Schottenheimer, everyone thought this was going to be a 5 to 7 win team, and it was going to be futile. If you look at the Cowboys, how well they've played, and look, they were right on the doorstep of beating the Eagles. They could right now easily be in first place, I think, if you flip that result around. And every week, what I've seen from the Cowboys, offense is really good. Defense is incredibly sieve-like, but they are competing. So pass rushers are an incredibly rare commodity. If you can get him for this year and beyond, hopefully, you do have something. Again, Jason, I think it makes sense for both parties.
Yeah, I think Trey Hendrickson would like to sign a 3-4 year deal with the Cowboys. That would make sense. I don't think you would have to pay him. I think you'd get him at a much cheaper price than what the Green Bay Packers ended up giving Micah Parsons. And so I think it makes sense for both. Trey Hendrickson gets to play in Dallas, where there's a lot of attention, and if he can be a part of some solution, they got this quarterback, obviously Dak Prescott, in the offense playing lights out. I think it's a great move. And so let me move to the question I asked myself earlier during the NFL Truths. Open that question up for yourself here. The best team in football, Steve. We're 5 games in. I'm going to concede, as much as I like the Colts, I'm going to say the Detroit Lions, man, have looked flawless since that, starting the season off kind of slow. They look tremendous. I'm going to put them at number 1. I put the Colts at 2. The Bills, despite losing last night to a very improved New England team. I'm still going to put them up high at 3. I'll go Tampa 4 and the Eagles 5. What say you about the best team in football?
I have to come up with a mea culpa. I doubted my guy, Dan Campbell, America's coach. I even said maybe Detroit, with all their losses, both coordinators weren't going to make the playoffs. But you know what? I underestimated the brilliance of Brad Holmes, who knows how to pick them. Tesla, you see that? Another rookie. Very productive receiver, came out with a touchdown. And then the leadership of Dan Campbell. Turns out Aaron Glenn, he needed Detroit more than Detroit needed him. Ben Johnson, still kind of, the word's out on him. He's got to deal with that crazy quarterback of his. You look at Detroit, both sides of the ball. Aiden Hutchinson looks more and more each week like the guy that was going to win Defensive Player of the Year last year if he didn't get injured. I still like that squad. They've leaned back on their running backs, taking some of the pressure off Goff, who can slice and dice. They are a team that, once again, will win double-digit games. And, Jason, I know I might regret saying this in about a month. I'm a believer in the Colts. That's a good roster. It really is. And Daniel Jones is kind of having – you talk about a guy that has revived himself. We always bring up Rich Gannon. It had been a while since we brought him up. It was time for that, right? Daniel Jones might be Rich Gannon to a certain degree. If you really think about it, not as many teams, but Daniel Jones looks so comfortable running that system. And he looks like a guy, forget comeback player of the year. I'll make a bold statement. He's actually in the running right now for MVP. And at that point, Daniel Jones better mention Coach JB in his victory speech if he gets that. Okay, that'd be the greatest prediction of all time. Jason, you know what team that I really liked at the beginning, and I'm a little concerned because their offensive line's been banged up, and they looked bad yesterday? The Chargers. Still a believer in Harbaugh, still a believer in Herbert, but that offensive line is not what it was even 3 weeks ago. And a team that I did not like what I saw yesterday, and I know they're going to win a lot of games because their offense looks so helter-skelter. He's just running around playing scramble ball too many times. The Bills. Jason, I still don't think they're that good enough or good enough at wide receiver alongside Josh Allen.
You brought up something. I'm going to throw you a curveball because I can't believe we got the same 5 teams. We just flipped 4 and 5. So there is a consensus about, who looks good at this point. The Chiefs, by the time the season's over and about 3 or 4 more games, we'll be putting them in the top 5. But I'm going to throw you a different curveball question I didn't tell you I was going to ask. You referenced Aaron Glenn, and they're the only winless team left. They're getting the brakes beat off of them every game. There's people talking about how bad they looked, how poorly coached. Do you think Aaron Glenn could get fired this year or after one season? Is that I mean, he may get fired midseason if they make it to 0-8 or something like that. Would that be fair, or are there extenuating circumstances that they need to be patient with him?
Jason, when football people, not guys like me, but people that have actually played football, are now openly tweeting this is the worst coach team, and they'd actually say it would not be the biggest stunner to see him get let go after 1 year, I think that is alarming. I mean, the only other worst coach team I saw all weekend was the North Carolina Tar Heels, but that's for another segment. Jason, here's the problem if you're going to do that. Aaron Glenn came as a conquering hero back home, right? The prodigal son, had a very good career with the Jets, was a first-round draft choice with that franchise after a very good career at Texas A&M. Seems like a very likable individual. Also, but this is the elephant in the room that you and I are going to talk about. If you fire a minority/black coach in their first year and you don't even give them a second or certainly a third, you're going to run into some criticism that the organization may not want to deal with.
No question. And look, there are 2 coaches that are on a super hot seat right now, and they both happen to have some black blood. Mike McDaniel at Miami, and he qualified for the Rooney Rule, and San Francisco got 2 third-round picks for him. But those are the 2 guys that seem to be on the hottest seats, and so the media will jump and say, hey, what's going on here? Black coaches don't get a shot. But even though we've seen white coaches fired after 1 year, and Mike McDaniel's had 3 or 4 years in Miami, but yeah, I do think there's some politics and some optics that will go around and perhaps provide some protection for Aaron Glenn. But when I hear all these conversations from people that played the game, that are consistently saying like, hey, this team looks uncoached, where I go to is, and these are the details of being a head coach that rarely get talked about. It's like Aaron Glenn may be a very good defensive coordinator and a good football coach. But did Aaron Glenn have the relationships, the reputation to attract a good coaching staff to work with him? These are some of the details that no one ever talks about. It's not just about, hey, you being the head coach. Can you attract quality young assistant coaches? And so when I hear people saying that the Jets look uncoached, that's not just Aaron Glenn. That's the entire staff that's being indicted.
Jason, here's the issue. I don't think the McDaniel-Glenn thing is analogous at all because, McDaniel's in his, fourth, fifth year, and there's diminishing returns. I think that just feels over. I know a lot of Dolphin fans from spending time in Florida. They're done with it. They want Kid Capri Pants out of there. They actually want a real football coach, okay? So when it comes to Glenn, let me draw this comparison. I'm a big fan of America's coach, Dan Campbell. His first 26, 27 games, they were bad. Bad. And everyone thought Dan Campbell was this caricature of the nail-biting Neanderthal, right? Well, it turns out he had a method to his madness, but it took a little time. I'm going to go on the record right now. I'm not doubting anyone that says the team is badly coached or very flawed. But I think given Glenn's history with the team, right, you have to give him a second year, maybe a third year. You have to let this play out. I think that finally people can say it. Justin Fields is not a quality starter in the National Football League. I just don't think he throws the ball on time or accurately enough. And they have to come to a realization. We're not a player or two away. You can't even lean on the whole, we got to wait for Aaron Rodgers to be good card anymore. You jettisoned him. He's in Pittsburgh now. There has to be this blunt honesty that this is a full rebuild. So now the question becomes, Jason, if you come to that realization, do you really want your third coach in 3 years? Because that's going to be the reality if you dump Aaron Glenn right now or at the end of this season.
Well, what did you say about Dan Campbell, about his start in Detroit?
It was terrible. First year and a half. First year and a half was not good, Jason.
Okay. I'm looking 3-13 in 2021.
Yeah.
9-8 in 22.
Right, but most of those wins in 2022 came in the last 7-8 games. I'm just telling you that the first half of that second season looked kind of bad.
Go keep talking. I'm about to fact check. You keep talking while I look this up.
There were actually reports that Dan Campbell's style of coaching just simply did not relate. Then they started winning games. I think there was a particular game where they beat the Packers at home. And it ignited us, I think, 7 out of 8 wins.
You're right.
Yeah, I'm just telling you, the first 25 games was not good, Jason. I'm a Dan Campbell guy. Trust me. I know this.
Yeah. They won. They started out 1-6.
Yes.
And then finished 9-8. And so you're right. They won 1-6. That means they won 8 of their last 10 games.
And Jason, right? I want to make this point about the Jets. Though. It's not just the fact they're losing. They're not even competitive. If you actually watch the Jet-Cowboys game, that game was not as close as the score indicated. There was a couple touchdowns late that made it was what I call cosmetic touchdowns. I mean, they're good for the gamblers. They might help you out if you put a few bucks on the over-under. That game literally was a 4-touchdown blowout when it really mattered.
Here's the other thing. It looks like Dan Campbell had 12 games as a head coach in Miami. So
interim.
He brought a little interim. He brought a little experience with him to Detroit as a head coach. But I think you're right. I think Dan Campbell is the protection that Aaron Glenn needs in terms of, hey, look, this isn't a quick fix situation. Particularly, you're running out Justin Fields as the quarterback. I never saw what I don't see what people see in Justin Fields. I
Jason, you know what's interesting? I was thinking about this. And I like Aaron Glenn. I think he's a very personable, fun guy, right? But generally, when a defensive coordinator gets a job, they coach historically good defenses like Buddy Ryan, 85, right? The whole 46. Marvin Lewis for 3-4 years had this unbelievable run, finally got a job. let's be honest, that Lions defense last year wasn't exactly the 2000 Ravens.
Well, they were beat up and injured.
Yeah, they were. They
and
were, but still.
They did the best they could, given the circumstances. All right, hey, let me move you to a few college football topics because I know you watched a lot of college football this weekend, and you know what? I'm gonna throw it a little bit out of order. I'm gonna let you talk about your Miami Hurricanes first. The Hurricanes, to me, have the best resume in football. Ohio State's ranked number 1. I think the U is ranked 2 in one poll and 3 in another, but clearly to me, they have the best resume in college football and probably should be number 1. Do you agree?
Well, to be fair, I think there's 3 teams that have separated themselves from the pack right now. Ohio State, Oregon, and Miami. Any order I'm good with. Look, we're not even close to Halloween. Last year, Miami was 9-0. I was actually at the Georgia Tech game, and I saw a bunch of future engineering students rush the field right in front of me. So, look, this is a good team, and I have to give Mario Cristobal a lot of credit. 5-6 weeks ago, everyone thought this program was going to go backwards without Cam Ward and a pretty good amount of draft choices. This team, I believe, is more well-rounded and plays better complementary football, and defensively is markedly better. I said before the preseason, just looking at the roster top to bottom, if Carson Beck is a version of the self that we saw in 2023, this is the best Hurricane squad since 2003. Yes, it's the best team in over 2 decades. Now, they got past the first half of the schedule, which is much more difficult than the last 7 games. I said on the Canes Insight podcast, Jason, that if they beat Florida State at Tallahassee, they will go 12-0 in the regular season. I stand by that.
What do they have left? They beat Florida. They beat Florida State.
Notre Dame and USF.
Notre Dame, yeah.
And they
Notre
also
Dame,
beat Bethune-Cookman, state champs. Now they play Louisville on a Friday night, a game that I'll be going to at Hard Rock. Louisville has not been as good as I thought. I expect them to win it. Then the rest of it is kind of the flotsam and jetsam of the ACC. Teams that have coaches fired, teams that are going to have coaches on the hot seat. Again, they have 7 straight games without a bye. But let's be honest, they're not in the SEC. If you're the program that we think we are now, you win those games. But injuries are a big part of it. This team's relatively healthy. And Jason, I still thought that fourth quarter chaps my hide. You're up 28-3. You got to finish that game. There's no way there should have been an onside kick in a 1-possession game at the end of that.
Steve, I want to move to the biggest upset that we've perhaps ever seen this season anyway. Penn State getting knocked off by UCLA. Pretty amazing that, and UCLA jumped up really big, controlled that game. Pretty fascinating. Could James Franklin, despite he won 2 playoff games last year, they're always in the hunt. They win 10, 11, 12 games, seems like every year. Could James Franklin get pushed out? Could he be the Mike Tomlin of college football and end up being in the hot seat in Pennsylvania and get pushed out at Penn State? Could you see that happening?
Right now, it is Unhappy Valley. Jason, I happened to listen to a few of the Penn State podcast shows. They are calling this not only the worst loss in the Franklin era at PSU, they're calling it among the worst losses in program history. Let me put this into perspective, Jason. Not only had UCLA not won a game, they were 0-4. Jason, did you know they had not taken or had a lead the whole year? Not for 1 second. They weren't even up 3-0 on New Mexico State at home. Think about that. They literally did not have a lead the whole year. Also, UCLA scored 42 points, which is a stunner. Jason, I think they had scored 57 points total the whole year. I mean, this is a catastrophic loss. I'm at Coach JB's house, and the Penn State game's on one of the screens. Now, I thought I'd peek in and see 38-0. I kept watching, thinking, I can't believe this. And yes, there's actually talk, but there is a safety net for Franklin if he actually wants to stick around. His buyout is over $50 million. That alone right there may ensure his job security. Yeah. So maybe getting fired, maybe it's not the worst thing for Jim. Gabe, you know what? Do something on the job, man. Do something even worse than lose to UCLA, and you get a nice little residual out the door.
He's got a Mel Tucker like retirement package.
Yes.
I wonder what Mel Tucker.
No, but they took his away though. Remember, they took his away. There's a little difference.
I think he got some of it. He was in a big fight. I actually know his agent, and he got some a big chunk of that change. But anyway, let me move on. Arch Manning, the son of Cooper Manning. Arch, all the hype is off. Arch is headed to Eastern Illinois or Illinois State or some fine FCS program at some point. I don't know if I would suggest him for Ball State, and we need a quarterback. I'm sorry. We just pulled off a big win. Let me be quiet. But I actually feel sorry for Cooper Manning, his dad. He's the third Manning brother, and now he has this son who's going to go down as one of the biggest college football flops ever. Arch Manning is not a big-time Heisman candidate type quarterback. He's not a power forward quarterback. And Steve, he's not. His arm is not good. It's not accurate. And he wets the pants anytime one of these black defenders gets anywhere close to him.
Hold on. Wait a minute. The white defenders fluster him too. It is the SEC. But so Jason, to your point, so you're calling him Arch Powless. Remember Ron Powless out of Berwick, Pennsylvania? Yes. I'll never forget
Beano Cook.
Yeah, Beano Cook. I really believe Ron Powless is going to win 2 Heisman trophies. He only came up too short, and he got worse every year at Notre Dame in the early 90s, right? So here's the thing. All of that you said, you need to save that monologue for when you bring Joel Klatt in. Klatt was part of the problem. Seriously, he was about 10 guys that had this guy on this exalted position. I'm like, I don't get it. And I think he's okay, but Jason, here's what I see. I see a guy with better athleticism and size and actual arm talent. I don't think he's accurate enough. He holds the ball too long. This is going to kill people, and people may disagree, and I get it. I think he would actually be effective if he played for Georgia Tech and did his version of Haynes King. He's a big guy that can run. I don't know if he can take that pounding because Haynes King is unbelievably tough. But if you're going to turn him into an NFL quarterback, right? Not happening. He doesn't even have the feel of a Quinn Ewers.
He's an old school Big 12 quarterback. Remember those Big 12 quarterbacks that put up all those amazing numbers and not pee a drop in the NFL? Or he's Andre Ware, David Klingler. He should be playing at Houston. I know he should be playing at that level, though. Those guys weren't any good, but they were playing at the right level. Arch on a power forward team, and particularly the nation's #1 team, and they got this big-time recruit coming in next year. Arch is done here. He's collected a lot of money that he didn't really need. He's from the Mannings. He didn't need all that money, but he's collected a lot of money. And I love the Ron Paulus comparison because I remember Beano Cook. No. And so is Joel Klatt, is he the Beano Cook in this situation? Was there anybody higher profile than Joel or on Joel's level that was championing this guy?
Paul Feinbaum literally said this guy's the best football player since Tim Tebow, and he's transformative. But look, I like Joel Klatt, but when he said this is the third best player in all, not third best quarterback, third best player in all of college football, I nearly drove off the road, and not because I'm an Asian driver. I could not believe those words came out of his mouth. You got to get Joel Klatt on before October. You let him on when Dion was winning games last year. He needs to return the favor here.
Hadley, let's put the request in for Joel Klatt.
I want to see
sooner
Klatt
than
now.
later. Yeah. But Paul Feinbaum is a better stand-in in comparison for Beno Cook. Old guys associated with college football for Hold on. Did Beno Cook play for college football?
No, he didn't.
No,
he didn't. I'm just saying they both didn't play the game. They're just guys who love college
didn't
football.
play.
Yeah.
Yeah, lovely. Yeah, I kind of like that comparison. Steve, yeah, let's get to the story of the weekend.
Carolina.
Almost forgot about this. No. Mark Sanchez. Mark Sanchez. Holy cow. Holy cow. What happened here? So I think, is this Adam? Yeah, this is Adam Schefter's original tweet. Former NFL quarterback and current Fox Sports broadcaster Mark Sanchez has been hospitalized after being stabbed during a robbery in Indianapolis early Saturday morning. So that's screw up number one from Adam Schefter. The governor of Indiana, Mike Braun, he jumped in. I've been clear. City leaders must do their jobs and hold criminals accountable. When Indianapolis headlines national news for a lack of public safety, it hurts our city and our state. Hoosiers deserve better. Praying for a full recovery for Mark Sanchez. The lieutenant governor, Micah Beckwith, he chimed in. Unacceptable. This is happening in our capital city, right here in Indiana. Indianapolis is sliding into lawlessness because local leaders refuse to prosecute criminals and protect citizens. Our law enforcement officers want to do their jobs, but they're being handcuffed by soft-on-crime politicians who value ideology over safety. It's time for the state of Indiana to step in. We must restore law and order in our capital. The General Assembly should act this session to give the governor and attorney general clear authority to enforce the law and prosecute offenders when local officials won't. Indiana deserves safe streets and leadership with the courage to deliver it. Those are two politicians, high-profile politicians. Dan Dockage, someone that I like and support. He works at Outkick, and I like Dan Dockage, former Indiana basketball star, shut down Michael Jordan, 40 years ago. Well, anyway, Michael Jordan didn't play well. With Dan Dockage was on the court when that happened. Anyway, he hosts a show on Outkick, and he tweeted out, Sanchez or anyone being stabbed downtown in Indy should not be a surprise. We have a ton of fatherless and armed African-American kids descending on downtown Indy every weekend. If that offends you, F off, as the chief of police, Bailey, and Reverend Harrison have told you this. That's a lot. That's a lot. And as it turns out, Mark Sanchez beat up a 70-year-old man or a 69-year-old man and got stabbed and got arrested, Mark Sanchez did, while sitting in the hospital recovering from being stabbed because the guy stabbed him in defense of himself. Mark Sanchez, I mean, I took some heat, Steve, because I tweeted out a prayer asking for Mark Sanchez's healing, and people, have criticized me for, how dare you ask for Mark Sanchez to heal when he was the perpetrator. Said I jumped the gun, but man, I didn't jump the gun like these guys, and I don't regret my tweet at all. The governor and lieutenant governor have both deleted their tweets.
Good
Dan
idea.
Dockage has doubled, tripled, and quadrupled down on his.
Well, he knows what goes on there. I mean, Jason, I have a question. Did you ever think Mark Sanchez would outdo the butt fumble? He just did. He just butt fumbled a great job on Fox. Think about it. I mean, look, I'm not so sure who had a worse weekend as a quarterback in Indianapolis, Geno Smith or Mark Sanchez, but at least Geno didn't get arrested. Now I'm looking at pictures of the victim, that poor guy, Mark Sanchez turning the Wolverine. The thing about that story I thought was strange, because we heard 18 different versions. I don't know what's true. And then you have the police report. And one of the stories said he got into it with the guy delivering food and told him you couldn't park there. And I think that sounds strange because, Jason, as someone, I think you and I have both had food delivered. You don't care where these guys park. They're leaving in 30 seconds anyway. They could block me for all I care. Just get the hell out after I give you a great tip because I respect your work. And seriously, as soon as you leave, I'm good. So that right there, I said, wait a minute, something. And then I thought, was there a woman involved? These things happen. But I was like, you're in Indianapolis. You're on job assignment. So I guarantee you there's an issue in Indianapolis. Our good friend, Ock Nation, has done videos about the crime in Indianapolis. I never knew. I thought it was a bunch of white kids shooting basketball at night. I didn't know all this other stuff. But there is an issue. But I do believe people from now on, when a crime happens, at least wait for the police report. You don't always have to be first. Just always be correct.
Yeah, listen, I'm from Indianapolis, Steve, and so I'm very aware of the crime problem in Indianapolis. I trust when I heard the news, that's the first thing that ran through my mind. It's like, hey, man, this is embarrassing for Indianapolis. But the journalist in me was always, hey, let me go full Paul Harvey and wait for the rest of the story. And so I just tweeted out prayer, not trying to editorialize over what the motive or who was responsible. But Mark Sanchez, I mean, I'm going to tell you my first thoughts were, I was like, after I found out that it wasn't what we thought, just a robbery, I was like, is this a lover's quarrel between two men?
A triangle.
It's midnight. Yeah, it's midnight. It's downtown Indianapolis, and then now it just sounds like, man, Mark Sanchez has some demons. I mean, I don't understand.
Jason,
you're making a good
behavior.
Yeah.
Did he overdose on Bacardi or bath salts? I mean, seriously, I'm hearing, I think one of the reports that he was running down the alley doing wind sprints. I'm like, you're doing gassers at midnight? Bro, I mean, just like, seriously.
I would have loved to have heard him call the game the next day after whatever he did the night before. Yeah, and I will say this. I'll give Brady Quinn hats off. Brady Quinn did an amazing job. I watched a lot of that game because, I'm heavy on the Colts. But hats off to Brady Quinn. But this is a wild story. Tell me this, though. If you're not to pick on Dan Dockage, because I really don't have no interest in that, but is Dan Dockage handling this properly? I think not. He should just delete, apologize.
I understand standing on your word and standing your ground. But when you are wrong, the best thing to say, hey, you got me. Like I said about a week ago that the Chiefs were frauds. I may regret that. But I'm not going to double down on it. If they rip off 13 wins, I'm just going to have to be on freezing cold takes. So that's why I'm hoping they lose the next 8 games. But if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. You might as well come clean and admit it.
Yeah, that's what
God,
I
I
think.
hope they lose tonight.
Dan, if you're...
Dan, please. Dan, please. It's not too late. The mea culpa. Come on, Dan. You have till Tuesday. Come on, Dan. You're a good man. Don't do this. Don't do this.
Everybody, the governor, lieutenant governor, they backed off, deleted their tweets. Dan's just being stubborn here. You made a mistake. Keep it moving. Steve, that's all I got on Dockage, Sanchez, the whole nine. Dirty Sanchez. Last thing. I'm not sure if his broadcasting career is over.
What?
I think in a lot of places.
No.
Hey, man.
At Fox it is. At Fox it's over. It's over. There's no way you can keep him. There's no way. Come on. Maybe Barstool, that morning show, maybe they need a ratings boost. Okay, maybe that one. Maybe
there's going to be a bidding war. There'll be a bidding, all the smoke.
Right. Okay.
It is what it is. Cameron and Mace, the pivot, nightcap.
But Fox, it's over. It's over. It's over at Fox. Come
I don't
on.
know, man.
He butt fumbled that
TV
job, Jason. He butt fumbled that job. It's over at Fox. Give me a break. Come on.
I tend to think you're right, but you never know. he may look more valuable in some people's eyes. He's got a criminal record now. Anyway, thank you, Steve. We'll keep it moving, and we'll bring in Paul Burkhardt. We're going to talk a little more NFL, Dillon Gabriel. I want Paul's take on Dillon Gabriel, and I want Paul's take on the premature fumbling that's going on in the National Football League. We'll do that. I'm not defending Kathy Engelbert, but I think what Nafisa Collier did was stupid, immature, shouldn't be celebrated. She went full-blown, black queen, be quiet, a black woman's talking, and I've been mistreated, and I got injured, and the commissioner didn't even reach out and talk to me, and it's about personal relationships, and I know how to run a league because I started Unrivaled, and these venture capitalists have given me millions of dollars to blow on a 3-on-3 Gus Macker basketball league, and so I know more than Kathy Engelbert, and everybody just go, oh, black queen, go off, queen, Wakanda forever, and it's retarded. It's bad business. And of course, an idiot like Stephen A. Smith hears that and says, oh, like queen, how can I worship you? All right, welcome back to the show, and welcome back to Paul Burkhardt, the man we had on last week that I told you all he's the only person that called the Shedeur Sanders scam out from the get-go. He had him as a fifth-round pick back in January, said he would be a disaster and nightmare. So he is my authority on the Cleveland Browns quarterback situation, and I wanted to fact-check or fault-check myself. I was not impressed with Dillon Gabriel Sunday morning as they played against the Minnesota Vikings. Many people are praising Dillon Gabriel. He went 19 of 33, 190 yards, 2 touchdown passes. Browns had a chance to win that game up until late. I was someone that his arm doesn't look strong enough to me. I don't really like short quarterbacks. I've made that crystal clear. Any pass rush seemed to really, really bother him, and he didn't show much escapability. If you're going to be a tiny quarterback, you should be fast and able to run around like Kyler Murray, something. I didn't see that. I was not impressed with Dillon Gabriel, Paul. What about yourself?
Good afternoon, Jason. Thanks for having me back. I appreciate it. My thoughts are this. Don't read too much into it either way. Even though that I said that it was his team the day after the draft, and I believe he's the franchise quarterback that they've been looking for decades. I wouldn't read too much either way. It's new. It was vanilla. It's in London. It's a totally different body clock. It's all the nonsense and pressure that's been going on. And this was his first opportunity to get out there and really show what he can do. And I saw everything. I saw plenty enough to validate what my thoughts were going in. Let me address the height thing. And I just did a video the other day about this. He's 5'11", right? Average quarterback's about 6'2", 6'3". Some are 6'5", some are 6 foot. Historically, guys like Breeze at 6 foot, Kyler Murray's under 6 foot. Some of those guys have struggled. I talked to this with my co-host, who was a successful quarterback and is 6'5". We talk about this all the time. Dillon Gabriel has to play the game 2 steps or 2 chess moves ahead of a quarterback that's 6'2", 3, 4, 5. He has to. So he prepares differently. His lanes are different. His left hand is different. How he views things is different. How he studies is different. And I think he's going to be just fine. I think he has all the intangibles. There's the person and the player. And I always like to break it down from a coach's lens, and having done that, is we need to look at Dillon, the person first. Phenomenal leader, extremely cerebral, very well prepared. People will follow him into any foxhole he goes in. He has been extraordinarily well coached. He is prepared for this moment. It is not too big for him. He will meet it and he will exceed it, in my opinion. Then you have the player. I believe he has plenty enough zip on the ball. I believe he's a great reader of the defense. I believe he's mobile, and probably more mobile than you just suggested. He's not Kyler Murray mobile. He's probably not Jackson Dart mobile, but if you watch his film at Oregon and even Oklahoma, more so Oregon, he can get out of there when he needs to. Remember that Brian Flores is a heavy blitz scheme quarterback or a coordinator, defensive coordinator. So Dillon was faced with a lot of complex coverages. Brian is got that on lock. He's famous for that. So this was a difficult place to start, and I'm not making excuses for him. Also, a lot of the coverage where you just named his attempts and completions, a lot of those were, I believe, intentional overthrows because nothing was there. So don't throw the ball into the ground. Don't give anybody an opportunity to catch it if it isn't your guy. Get the ball out of bounds. So I think he will be on pace. He is on pace. I think you'll see him evolve if Stefanski can get out of the way of affecting things. He's got a lot of talent over there, which is proving through and true offensively and defensively. He's got weapons offensively. They'll start to open it up, I think, here as we go forward in the coming weeks. And I think you'll see Dillon Gabriel really come to the forefront with his performance. Overall, I'm pleased. If I'm a Cleveland fan, I'm excited.
Did you, obviously you watched the game just like me. Did you listen to the broadcast of the game?
Yes.
Yeah. So one of the things I thought was interesting is it felt to me like there was virtually no attention paid to Shedeur Sanders. When I was watching, I never heard Shedeur referenced. And one of the things I read into that is the broadcast can be influenced by the teams, by the leadership of the team, the head coach, the upper management. They can tell you, and most of the time the networks will cooperate, hey man, don't focus in on Shedeur. Don't bring up Shedeur storylines. And because I've seen the Kansas City Chiefs at one point put the foot down about, hey, quit showing who the offensive coordinator that Eric Bieniemy. Quit focusing so much on the Eric Bieniemy storyline. It's a distraction. And the networks would tamp down on that and quit pretending like he was Don Coryell. I think the organization has rallied around Dillon, and the first sign of that is that they told the network, back off the Shedeur stuff. Was there some reference of Shedeur? Was he on camera much yesterday? I didn't see it.
I didn't either. And if there was any reference or mention, it was minimal. It's nothing like what we have been, hearing lately. I think that's a great point that you just made. I think there was probably wording there. Jason, what I think is we're about to see something pretty shocking, and I'm not going to make this official prediction on your air or anything, but I truly believe you're seeing the end of Shedeur Sanders in Cleveland. I just think, see Dillon Gabriel's come into such a volatile situation, and the average sports fan who doesn't look at it that way or look through that lens might not be giving that enough credit. The mental toughness that this guy has had to exhibit through this process, being the 3rd round pick, and then this guy at the 5th round pick, and then the Browns history and Jimmy Haslam, and it's not my guy, and it's all this, and the Stefanski heat and rumors and the Barry heat and rumors then go to London, and what Shedeur did last week, which I believe was deliberate. I believe that was a deliberate attempt to sabotage. I think you're going to see very soon here Cleveland cut Shedeur loose, either by trade or outright cut. I agree with you that the franchise has recognized they can't go forward like this, and probably did tell the station, don't talk about it.
I could see Deshaun Watson getting cleared physically and Shedeur Sanders getting cut. Because what's interesting, there's been several interesting things happen. One, the broadcast and what happened there. But 2, also keeping Joe Flacco at number 2 on the depth chart is a sign that we're not into Shedeur Sanders. And we realize that this is problematic and he's doing so much clown stuff. And so, yeah, I as soon as Deshaun Watson gets cleared physically, which I think could happen at any time, who knows? Yeah, I think they cut bait with Shedeur Sanders and let Twitter melt, and maybe he ends up in Cincinnati. Maybe I don't know where Shador. It seemed like maybe he ends up with the Jets. Who knows?
We'll be.
I want to move.
Aaron Glenn won't put up with it.
Yeah, it won't be. Yeah, he doesn't need another headache. Let me move on to the other thing that happened. And this is this Emari Demercado, this premature fumble. Again, how this happens back-to-back weeks. It's like these guys live in a bubble. It's like, did you not watch the Indianapolis game? Did you not see Adonai Mitchell cost the Colts a game, and you come out and do it against the Arizona Cardinals? Paul, my contention is these players are so hyper-focused on their celebrations now that they can't wait to celebrate. And, that when they're running with the football, they're not thinking about doing their job. They're thinking about, hey, what dance am I going to do? What celebration am I going to do? And that's how you end up dropping the ball before you cross the goal line. I got to give Jonathan Gannon credit, and maybe it's because this guy's a third-string running back and he's expendable, but at least he got yelled at. Emari did in real time. But what do you think of my theory that it's the premature celebration? Is the thought this guy about the 10-yard line starts thinking about how he's going to dance, and he lets the ball go so he can begin his dance and his hey, look at me deal, that there's just way too much focus on celebrations in the NFL. It's
emotion, cloud, and judgment. And you know who the godfather of all this is Leon Lett, 32 years ago in the famous snow game. All right? And it's happened over and over. I put together a short list. Leon Lett, Deshaun Jackson, DK Metcalf, Jonathan Taylor, Adonai Mitchell, and Demercado, and there are others. And it happens throughout the college ranks too. It is premature celebration. You hear the crowd going. That game is in Arizona. That's a big moment in the game. He's third string. His opportunity, busts off a beautiful run. That's a game-changing play. And then it's like, I want to call Barry Sanders. I'm from Detroit originally. I want to call Barry Sanders and have Barry talk to each one of these guys some kind of way. Just run through, like in track, you're taught to run through the tape. Lean forward and run through the tape because you're being clocked. It's a 10-yard end zone. Run through the end zone, hand the ball to the ref, and then you want to celebrate a little bit, go ahead and do it. You cannot put yourself before the team. And as a longtime coach, this is something I don't think that the average person who's never stood in a coach's or sat in a coach's chair. We coach against these things all the time. I promise you, Jonathan Gannon has talked about controlling emotions in big moments. All coaches do. I mean, literally at the professional level, they still do it. Even at the younger levels, more. But I don't condone what Gannon did by basically punching him and giving him a body shot. I don't know if you saw that. Did you see the film?
I did. Yeah, I did. I don't have a problem with it, but go ahead. He can cost Jonathan Gannon his job. He certainly cost his team a game, but go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, verbally get into him like that. I like that. I don't like when he raised his hands, because if a player raised their hands to a coach, the world would be in an uproar. So I think it's equal. You got to treat that both ways and treat the man like a man. He screwed up, and I think he was looking like he felt pretty damn bad. He isn't one of those kind of guys like a Deshaun Jackson. This is what you would expect from Deshaun in his day. It was all showboating. That's not what this guy is. So Gannon was as heated as Demercado was emotional in the moment. It's unfortunate to see you play 60 minutes, you got all these guys busting their ass, and you jeopardize your entire team, your performance, your season over stupid stuff like this. Run through the tape.
Listen, I'm somewhat sympathetic to the players as it relates to celebrations, but I've lived long enough to know, like, hey, man, they used to not do this, that it was Billy White Shoes Johnson, there was the Icky Shuffle. There were guys that celebrated, but there was an equal number, if not more guys, that didn't go over the top in their celebrations. And now it seems like everybody, every single, from quarterback to running back to wide receiver to defensive lineman to linebacker, if you make a play, it's almost like the television networks have told you, and to some degree I think maybe they have, is we love to capture the emotion after the play. It's good TV. So be over the top in your emotion, but it's going to lead you to do dumb things that cost your team. And I get it. It's like, because one of the things I thought was like, hey, man, in my day, there wasn't millions of dollars at stake. If I lead the league in sacks, if I lead the league in TFLs, you know, every big play, there's some kind of dollar amount attached to it that's pretty significant, and that will bring out more emotion. When you're sitting there thinking, hey, I lead the league in rushing, and I'm going to get to buy my mama a new house and blah, blah, it does lead to more emotion, but man, these guys just look really stupid.
Couple of closing thoughts on that, Jason, is this. Being from Detroit and following the Lions so close in Dan Campbell, this type of behavior and culture isn't allowed on the Lions. They're allowed to celebrate, and there has been an instance where something happened in the past and that player was cut. There is a standard of excellence in Detroit with Dan Campbell and the Lions, and there is a policing and a culture within the leadership of the actual team, its players. And he's built something there where you basically, it will never get to the coaches laying into you. Your fellow man next to you won't tolerate it. And so I think that there's that overwhelming respect. And this is tier one, you know, first guy, second guy, third guy, special teams player only, the guy who doesn't even get in the game. There's a responsibility to conduct yourself a certain way, starts at the top, runs all the way through, and there's internal policing. Arizona's culture is still what it is. And I'm going to tell you this, a lot of people don't like this when I say this, but it starts at the quarterback position. And your quarterback must be an on-the-field coach and must be a disseminator of information and communication and a standard. And that goes for offense, defense, and special teams. And I don't think anybody looks at Kyler Murray that way, if I'm being honest with you. When you talk about leaders and Jared Goff, nobody wants to let Jared Goff down, offense or defense. And there's a lot of guys through the league like that, whether it was a Manning or a Brady or a Breeze historically, or even a lot of the current guys. No one wants to do this to Jaden Daniels. No one wants to do it to Justin Herbert. There's a whole list of others. It starts at the top. The culture, the whole organizational component and structure for years has been dysfunctional at best in Arizona, and Kyler Murray hasn't helped that. And Jonathan Gannon's trying to come in like Dan Campbell did and change mediocrity from the past 3-4 decades. And it's not easy to do. I don't think this is who Imari is as a person. He made a mistake. It's a bad one, but he made a mistake.
Paul, great job. Thank you so much. Salute you. We'll see you next time here on Fearless. We'll play some tomorrow, and we'll see you